So Willow, what do you reckon? It's a nice day. Should we do the van tour?
What, today?
Yeah, why not?
You ain't recording, are you? You can't show people how bad it is, how much we actually live. You want to do the van tour today?
Yeah.
Alright then.
Morning guys.
Bom dia.
Still in Portugal then?
Still in Portugal. Welcome to our van tour. So part of this van tour we're going to explain and describe a little bit how it is to live full-time in our van stroke motorhome, whatever you want to call it. We call it a van. And hope you enjoy it. So we're on this location. We did do a bit of filming on another location, so if you're a bit confused why some things look a bit different.
Yeah, the continuity person's on holiday permanently.
Yeah, and I think we waffled a bit, so there you go. So yeah, hope you enjoy, and I hope this gives you some sort of idea. If you are thinking of buying a van, if you're not too sure, we're going to give you the good and the bad, because at the end of the day you've got to keep it real, haven't you?
That's it.
Yeah. So Kevin's going to do the outside stuff and the technical stuff, while I'll be doing the inside stuff and the more homely stuff.
So this is our house, our home. As you can see, it's an Autosleeper Malvern. It's based on a Mercedes chassis, which gives us a Mercedes engine and a Mercedes gearbox. We went for the Mercedes. We like automatics. We prefer automatics. We can drive manual. But when we were looking around, the Mercedes gave us a proper automatic gearbox. So I've just been told off about the ums. Sorry, I'll get better. As I was saying, so this is our Mercedes. It's based on Mercedes chassis. I'm doing it again. Overall length is 7.29 metres. That's 24 feet in old money. So wide, it's 2.78 metres, including the wing mirrors. We put that into a sat nav. We've got one of those sat navs that it's designed for a camper van. So you put in your dimensions and it doesn't send you down any roads that it knows are too wide for you. At the distance with the wing mirrors, it's too wide for most British roads. So it took us a while to work this out because it wasn't sending us down the roads we knew we could get down. So we had to adjust it so it's only 2.4 metres wide, which is the standard width for large vehicles, lorries, buses and stuff like that. It's about 8 foot anyway in old money, so no worries. Height, 2.9 metres or just shy of 10 feet. And it weighs 3.88 tonnes. We were looking for something under 3.5, but we just couldn't find anything, purely because in certain places of the world they don't like anything over 3.5 tonnes, and there's certain villages in France that they banned vehicles over 3.5 tonnes. Also, you've got to have all the extra signage in France as well, so we won't. But this is what it is, and it sounds a lot, but to be honest with you, there's not a lot of extra payload in it because the whole vehicle is quite a heavy vehicle. Under here, 2.2 litre engine. Gives us, I think it's 160-ish brake horsepower, which is good enough to get up all the hills I'm allowed to get up. So no worries at all. It's got all the power we want, and it's giving us something between, well, when we were in the UK, we were only getting 24, maybe 25. Now we're on the continent, we seem to be getting 25, 26 and a half miles to the gallon. I don't know whether it's because we have to drive slower over here, or we put on the extra mileage. When we bought it, we only had 15,000 miles on the clock. We're now getting pretty close to 25,000 miles, so we put sort of 10,000 miles on the clock. Maybe that's sort of run it in, and the engine's getting a little bit looser, a bit more efficient. Don't know, or whether it's the better diesel or the slower speeds. But anyway, we bought this, what, 10 months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've had this 10 months. 10 months, 10,000 miles. That ain't bad, is it really? And we're not pushing it. We're not driving it hard. It's just we're going where we want to go. So that's it. So here's where we fill up our LPG. Some vans come with bottles, but you'll find that when you're travelling around Europe, different countries, as far as I know, I'm not sure, but certainly on the continent the bottle connection is different to the bottle connection at home. Also, there are certain countries that won't let you refill the bottles if you get the refillable bottles. So we've got a built-in tank under here. The tank size is 25 litres. When you fill up a tank with LPG, the system only allows you to fill it to 80% of its maximum capacity. So we should be able to get 20 litres of LPG in there. The fitting under here is designed for the UK, and there are 3 other adapters that you get that will cost you about 50 quid depending on where you get them from, and they go on there, and then that allows you to fill it up anywhere else in Europe as long as you get the right adapter. Another upgrade we got, which to be honest with you doesn't work particularly well. It's a locking LPG cap. More importantly, the key is on the ignition, so you can't leave it behind, because we managed to leave the original push one up behind a couple of times. One thing we found out, when you're filling up the LPG, it's better to do it when it's cold. You get more in there. Liquid gas is not like liquid fuel as in diesel or petrol. You can't put in 20 litres. You can only put in as much as the tank capacity, but it relies on the pressure of the gas. So when it's hot, the gas has a higher pressure and it doesn't feel so well. So there's certain days we can pull in. We've got a gauge in there which is, yeah, not bad. It ain't the best, but it's not too bad. So we leave it until the red light comes on, and sometimes we'll only get 10 or 12 litres in here. So what's that? Less than just over half. And some days we'll get 15 litres in here. I know it's not a lot, but if you can fill it up, it lasts us. What does it last us? A week or so?
A couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks. Yeah, it depends on
if we're not using it for heating.
Yeah, if we're not using it for heating. The LPG runs our cooking, our heating, our hot water, and you'll see when we go inside we've got a 3-way fridge. So when we're stationary, parked up, off not hooked up, it uses that to run the fridge as well. LPG is becoming less available in the UK. There's the government, when they first set it up, they were going to get everybody to convert their cars to LPG, because LPG in a car works about the same as petrol, except it's about half the price. LPG. But as not many cars got changed over, and the only people left that use LPG are us, really, it's becoming less popular. On the continent, however, no worries. A lot of people live off grid, so they've got to have LPG, because that's what they fill their gas bottles with when they're living off grid. They've got no gas at home. Coming down the van. Under here, if you have an open water source, you can put in what they call a whale adapter, and you plug it on there, take the lead and put it into your open water source, which could be just a bucket of water or something, or the local lake or river or whatever. There's usually a filter or something on the end, and you set it going, and then that will supply your taps. Under here, this is where your electric hookup is. So when you're on the campsite, plug it in, and then that powers your van. Does heating, fridge, and gives you all the 240 mains volt electric you want. This one here, this is an external aerial socket. A lot of motorhomes have a satellite dish on the roof or an aerial on the roof, but if you don't have that, you can get ones that are freestanding on the outside, and that's where you plug it in, and then it will go into your telly. Under here, this is the tap for the waste tank, the grey water tank, which is your washing up water and your shower water and all of that. The tank is here. It's about 70 litres. You just undo that, comes out, and you're going to be doing that in the service areas and stuff. This flap here, this is the flap for access to your cassette, for your cassette toilet, which we ain't got no more. We'll tell you a bit about that when we get inside. And this is the result of us getting rid of our cassette toilet, because this is where the flush used to be, the fill for the flush. But we had to take that out, obviously, when we removed the cassette toilet. We had a big hole, so put a mesh over it, put this over it, so we get an extra bit of ventilation. We're down here. This is the drain tap for your fresh water, should you wish to drain down the system. The fresh water tank is under there, holds about 90 litres, which, what does it last us? Don't know, because now we're on the continent, filling up is easy. You can fill it up every day if you wanted to.
I can at a push make it last 2 weeks, but it's not enjoyable.
It's not, is it? No.
No, it's hard work in the UK.
Yeah.
And the UK is very hard to get water.
Yeah, we did find that.
To a site.
Yeah. So under here, there's a couple of steady legs, and these are the holes for bringing them down. A bit like your caravan. When you're parked up on solid ground, the van itself is fairly good, but you still got obviously the suspension travel and stuff. So you can put your steady legs down, which just does exactly what it says on the tin, really. Steadies your van. What do you think? Like the picture? I did. Tow bar. It came with a tow bar. It's not something we would probably put on. I mean, the thing's long enough as it is, and then when you stick a trailer on the back, it's huge. We can actually, the maximum train weight on this vehicle is 5.5 tonnes, so we can put sort of 1600 kilos of trailer on the back if we wanted to. No worries at all. Up here, I don't know whether that came as standard with the vehicle. To be honest with you, where it's positioned over the top of that auxiliary brake light, it's alright during the day, but at night when you put your foot on the brake light blats it all out, so you can't really see a lot. We have put a bit of tape on it, but it's not great. And to be honest with you, if I was putting up a reversing camera, I wouldn't put it over the top of a brake light. I don't know. One of the many upgrades we've done to the van is we've had to put in some extra solar panels, because the one that came with the van just wasn't up to scratch. It wasn't doing anything. There's a story behind that. We'll go into that later when we go inside and show you about it. But we got it set up by guys at Solar Shack. Cracking job. Took them a day. At the time we were quoted waiting times of 2, 3, 4 months. Yeah, in June we was quoted October. Yeah, in June we was quoted October. So, and we rang these guys. I don't know whether they had a cancellation or whatever. They went, come down, had it for a day. Great guys, fitted the solar panels, all the controller bits, and they managed to do in a day what our van has never been able to do, i.e. charge our leisure batteries. When we bought the van, obviously this plate was legal because we've had it since last year. But as of October, 1st of October this year,
something like that.
Yeah, so if you're driving on the continent, this bit is not welcome anymore. It's got to say UK in there, and you're not allowed to have the stars. In some countries, they're okay with you still having it. Yeah, there's certain countries which don't mind, and obviously I would have thought those had a bit of leeway. And the same applies with the front as well. You can get a sticker which goes over the front, which we've got. We just haven't been able to get it at the moment because it's in London. Look at this, guys. And that's not even the car keys. That's just all the keys for all the bits of lockers and stuff. Incredible. We had to paint one silver, so we knew which it is, because these two look exactly the same. We're always getting them muddled up. That's for the cassette one, which we don't have to use anymore. So anyway, so this is the garage. In there, it's quite large. I reckon we could stow a couple of bodies in there if we needed to. But what we have under there, we've got a few tools because obviously we live in this thing. We need to keep it maintained. We've got canoe under, kayak. Let's get it right. Kayak, open thing. Canoe closed. Kayak. Got a kayak under there. Yeah, we have. We keep the bottled water and chairs and table and snorkeling stuff and all the stuff you'd need for leisure, I suppose. Yeah. This is your freshwater fill. Again, another key. Now, up here, we have an awning, which is self-supporting. We can bring it out. You can do it, one person can do it, which is really, really good. I like this awning. You can take it all the way out, and then you've got the steady legs which come down and you place it. Anyway, coming down there, once you're sitting outside, once you've got your table out here and you're sitting out under the sun and your drinks are getting too hot, get your awning out. Here we have a plug. It's just a standard plug. So when you're on a site, when you're hooked up, that plug gives you mains electric. So you can sit out here and plug in anything that you want, some lights or your laptop or whatever. It only works when you're hooked up. This one works whether you're hooked up or not. So this is an extension. So get your gas barbecue out, plug it in there, and you get outside gas as well. If you've got a gas barbecue, of course. This is the exhaust for the heater and hot water. This vent here and this vent here are the vents for the fridge, and when it's cold there's a couple of covers that go on there. Anything below 4 degrees you cover it up, just keeps the fridge more efficient. The fridge is not a compressor fridge, so it only reduces it down to a level so it will go down to say 25 degrees less than the ambient temperature. Here we have a handle. Two things. Firstly, extra handle when you want to get up inside, and primarily it locks in position. So extra security. Yeah, what else is it? It folds back that way as well, but I'm not sure why you want to do it that way. But anyway. Station door. Step for the switch for the step even is in here. Look at that. It's pretty cool, isn't it? And it's automatic. So if you do happen to forget to switch it, take it in, when you drive away, a whole bunch of beeping noise goes off and the step goes in. We were talking to a guy the other day, and he said, "Oh, just follow me down the road." And so we were following him, and his step never went in, and we're like, beep 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 beep, and he went, "Oh no, I must have forgot to switch."
And that was a Heimer.
And that was a Heimer. I mean, I don't know.
Favourite girls. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a light that goes over the door.
Only one lock it. At night time it comes on.
Oh right, okay. You can clearly, I don't go in this very much. Front door. So this one is your wet locker. Now this is a sealed compartment on the outside of the van with no access from the inside, and this is where you're going to put your wet stuff or anything that could be wet when you put it away. It's important that you keep all the wet stuff out of the van, because damping a van is never a good idea. So the hose is in here for when we're filling it up, the refill liquids, the coolant and the screen wash and stuff like that, and anything else that's likely to be wet when you put it away. We don't often use the mains hookup. I did keep the mains hookup under here, but now we're on the continent, we're not getting hooked up all that much. So I've now put the hookup under there. But what I have got under here is our wheel clamp, which is part of the security we've got on the van. Now this wheel clamp is, or in our opinion, is the best on the market. That's always important. We'll do a bit more of that when we get around the corner. So here's the Mercedes cab. It's a standard cab layout, 2015 model. So we haven't got the steering wheel buttons. All the buttons are on here. Down here, this is the gas gauge I was talking about. It has 10 green dots and a red dot on the end. When you switch on the ignition, it all comes up and it shows you how much gas you got left. No worries at all.
Start it maybe.
So as you can see, we've got 3 dots on there, which isn't as bad as you think.
That's good. Probably 4 days worth.
Yeah, an easy 4 days worth. No worries at all. And then you've got the red dot that comes up, and the red dot we can leave for a couple of days before we have to fill it up as well. So yeah, it is what it is. We have the rim-less blinds. Slide them across, slide it back. We've got this one here, goes all the way down here, and then the front one, a couple of catches, and then that just slides up and goes into the middle. The other one comes across there, and they meet in the middle, and this edge is magnetic. So if everything's okay, they just sit there, no worries at all. If you're on a bit of a slope and it doesn't quite meet or something, then a peg. Brilliant, no problems at all. That's the screen for our reversing camera. Not impressed, sorry. Yeah, it's not. So you have to have it set square like that so the blinds meet. If you have it in the what you would see as a normal sort of driving position, you can't set the blinds. And as it's only on when you're reversing, guess what it's like. And before we did this, we used to drive buses, and you haven't got luxuries of reversing, or not when I was driving them anyway, reversing cameras. So we had to use the mirrors. So that's what we do. And the best reversing camera in the world, Willow.
Also, there's a bit of a delay on it, isn't it?
Yeah,
way too long.
Yeah, it takes ages to come up. Main fuse box is under here. Again, it's all standard Mercedes stuff, and you can see these are the tyre pressures here. And these are your plate weights and axle weights. On the other side, underneath the passenger seat, is the leisure batteries. When we bought the van, there was only one. We asked them for the upgrade to put in 2, because we knew one leisure bike, 100 amp hour AGM battery was never going to be enough. We've done some maths. So 200 amp hour AGM batteries, 200 amp hours. We did look into the lithium, but at the time they were horrendously expensive, and as we weren't absolutely sure how much power we were going to need, it was something that we thought, we decided against it. When these stop functioning efficiently, because AGM batteries, I think they give you about 1,000 charges, or is it 3,000 charges? So yeah, when they stop becoming efficient, we'll have another look at the lithium ones, because they do work a lot better than those. And hopefully by then the price would have come down to something more affordable as well, wouldn't it? We were looking for the vehicle battery. It took us ages. It's actually under the floor, underneath the passenger side, where the passenger's feet go. So if for whatever reason your battery goes flat, you haven't got to take up all the floor. Don't worry. There's a little spigot under there that you can put your jumper in.
So if you with this, if you forget to turn it off, which we invariably do, it will switch off anyway. But you switch it just on. Make sure when you put it on, you turn the water on, and that's for the interior lights. This tells you about the vehicle battery, the leisure battery. This is the water tank. We both had showers today, so we're half full. And that is the wastewater. The sensor on it is diabolical. It's probably a quarter full, but no matter what, whether it's empty or full, it will always show full. But we empty that all the time, because that's another thing. It gets very smelly if you do not empty it regularly, and you should flush it out as well. So this is the outside light that's under the awning. What's this one for, Kev? Can't remember.
I don't know. Let's have a look.
This one tells you about the batteries.
Yeah, that allows you, because that's
the temperature.
No, so that one, I don't know. I think that's obviously some sort of lights. Whether that switches on, I don't know what that does. You can clearly see we use it a lot. So the next one along just allows you to change. So the system will allocate where the power is being used
to the
from. So
You can either set it so it's coming from the vehicle battery or it's coming from the leisure battery. Obviously you want it coming from your leisure batteries because that's what they're designed for. The system does set itself if it's getting there. And the last one is your tank heaters.
Your tank heaters,
which works when you're hooked up and it's cold.
Yeah, so if the tanks get too cold, it will release the water that's in the tank. So here it's showing you the leisure battery, what's the HH again?
That's the amp hours, but to be honest with you, the system really doesn't work very well, which is why we upgraded with the extra solar panels.
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment our leisure batteries are full.
Yeah, our leisure batteries are full. And as you can see, outside it's 26 degrees. We're in full sun, and we're getting, this should be right up here. And this is your trimmer. This is to do with the hot water. That's the heating and what have you. Then you click over for your hot water. So if you want it on 40 degrees, you just press that, and now it's on. If you want it off, click it again, turn it off. And then you go over, no. Oh, yeah, that's it. Then you click it over, and at the moment you can see we're on gas. So because we're off grid at the moment, this is only on gas, but you can turn that on. You can be half and half gas, half electricity, or if you're hooked up, you would click that onto electric, which I'm not going to do now because obviously I don't want to mess about with it. And that is your fan. And if it gets really hot in here, I can turn that on and it blows cool air in through the Truman system, which I'll show you in a minute. So this is your alarm.
Yep,
that's your alarm. Alarm settings.
Not so much alarm. That's your timer. So if on the cold days,
oh yeah, timer. Sorry.
You can set it to come on before you get up. So you get up to a nice warm fan. So that's all right.
And that's the clock.
Yeah, that's
just the clock.
Yeah,
and
that's the settings.
That's the settings and what have you. Okay, so the Truman fan heater. So even on a hot day like today, we had the water on because we wanted to have a shower. You will get a little bit of warm air come through here with the heating, but this is our heating. We've not got a diesel heater. It is something that if we keep this fan, we definitely will invest in. As you can see, this is where we keep our shoes. It doesn't interfere with the fridge. So you get a hot air blowing out of here and at the side vent here as well, and it's really efficient. It gets absolutely really boiling in here, doesn't it, Kev?
It does, yeah.
It does, even on the coldest days, and we was in here in, well, the whole of December, January, February, and we had snow a few weeks, didn't we? So there you go.
Yeah, so we've got flies. Where's that SWAT? So we've got two panels on this side, 270 watts. There's a 120 and a 150, and we've still got the original 120. So that gives us about 400 watts of power, which is sufficient under most circumstances to keep our 200 amp hours of batteries up to speed. And so far, we've had no problems at all. We haven't been anywhere where it's been continuously wet, and obviously we're only now in the back end of October. We're only now in the back end of October, so we're still getting reasonable sun. Hopefully come December they'll still be good enough. We are going to probably, if we're going to keep the fan, we are probably going to fit a B2b charger. Simple idea. Again, as long as it's a decent one, they'll cost you 200 or 300 quid. Comes with a kit. It's a box that gets warm, so you've got to mount it somewhere where it's going to be cool. 4 wires, depending on your charging system in your van. 2 to the vehicle battery, 2 to your leisure batteries. Job done. And it will work side by side any other split charge system we've got in the van, so no worries at all. A solar controller. Again, if you're going to put in anything, put in the best you can get. Just do it, because you don't really want to be doing it twice.
Why we got the size of solar panels that we got is because we've got so many vents. As you can see, we've got the big vent here, we've got another vent in the middle, and we've got another vent here, that window striped vents. We've got the skylight also in here, and we've also got, with the light becomes a vent as well. So we was really limited because they would have loved to have put, was it an 800?
Nah, 400 watt panel, but they just didn't have the size.
Yeah, well, they didn't have the room.
Yeah,
they didn't have the room for it. That's what, otherwise we would have gone. So down here is our inverter, which has also got a USB.
Yeah, so it's a 1000 watt pure sine wave inverter. Again, we knew that we weren't going to be hooked up all the time, so we wanted the ability to have mains electric, because although most stuff you can get will charge off of 12 volts, there is some stuff that doesn't work very well when it's a 12 volt version. Anything that spins and gets hot doesn't really work that well as a 12 volt. We haven't got that much, and I had a look around the laptop charger trying to find the 12 volt version was a nightmare. So anyway, we decided we were going to get it. We did a bit of calculation and we reckoned about 600 watts, because the bigger the inverter, the more power the inverter uses to produce the electric in the first place. So you don't want mega inverter if you're only going to use a little bit of mains electric. So again, we asked them to put it in. They went, yeah, no worries. And when we went there, they said, oh, we couldn't get a 600, so we put you in 1000. Hindsight, the 1000's all right. We haven't had any problems with it. It needs to be a pure sine wave inverter, because with pure sine wave, it evens out all the lumps and bumps in electric. Yeah, electric comes with lumps and bumps, and if you're putting in sensitive equipment, laptops, phones, whatever, you need pure sine wave. It has on it also a USB, so we can just charge anything USB on there without having to switch it on. So that's good. That's a power saving, and it comes with a remote control as well. Plugged it in once. It comes with a long lead. I'm sorry, I suppose if it was somewhere where you could, if it was in a cupboard somewhere, then yeah, that would be a good idea. But it's there on the back of the seat. It takes nothing at all. So as a result, we did ask the question, can't you just wire it into the system? And they said no. So apparently you can't have 240 and 12 volt in the same place. When you're building your own, and if we were building our own, you'd have a big switch, and the big switch would be hookup, inverter, hookup, inverter. You couldn't mix the two. Clearly, an add-on, it would be possible to mix the two, and if I managed to plug that into the mains, bang, and fire hazard and all that. So no, they couldn't do it. At the time it was a bit, but I now understand that wasn't. So we ended up with two sockets down there, which one from the inverter, and every other socket in the place runs when we're hooked up.
Inverter, mains, but the
USB works all the time.
Works all the time, so that's good. So we've got a couple of them. Is that it regarding the tech stuff?
Yeah, pretty much.
So we've got a fire extinguisher there. I would like it to be somewhere else. That's something we need to think about, because how many times do we kick it?
Oh yeah, we're always kicking it. I think that's about it for the van. Yeah. All in all, no real complaints other than what we've mentioned about the technical stuff. Going forward, is there anything we're going to do extra?